Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News, where we get you the news you probably missed through the night and also what to look forward to in the day ahead. I'm Tracy Shilchi and here are the headlines. Old 500 rupee notes invalid for rail, metro, bus tickets from today. Supreme Court also questions the centre over measures taken post-demonetisation. Centre tells Parliament decision on printing plastic currency has been taken. Former Air Force Chief SP Tyagi and two others are arrested by the CBI in the VVIP chopper scam. Arrest on allegations of accepting bribes in deal that favoured UK-based company Augusta Westland. "45 people are killed and over 30 injured in a suicide attack on a marketplace in Nigeria. Two schoolgirl suicide bombers behind the attack, authorities believe are from Boko Haram. And Japan launches a cargo ship with a 700-meter-long magnetic tether to remove debris from Earth's orbit. There are more than 100 million pieces of space junk in orbit. Well, starting with the demonetisation move, and all 500 rupee notes will become invalid from today onwards. It will not be accepted at railway and government-run bus ticket counters and for purchasing suburban and metro rail services anymore. The exemptions that remain till 15th of December, though, include payments at government hospitals, pharmacies, consumer cooperative stores, government-run milk booths and at crematoria and burial grounds. Other exemptions include payments of utility bills like electricity and water, as well as buying cooking gas, mobile recharge, purchase of seeds and government school fees up to a limit of 2,000 rupees. The government has had in fact earlier discontinued the use of 1,000 rupee notes. While keeping track of all of that is confusing, we understand. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has sought the centre's response on the issues pertaining to its demonetisation move that came into effect from midnight of November 8th. It also asked the government as to what measures are being taken to reduce inconvenience to the people. The Supreme Court asked the centre to respond by the 17th of December.
The Supreme Court on Friday questioned the centre about the measures it had taken on the demonetisation step. The court asked the government as to why district cooperative banks were not allowed to accept deposits in old currency notes. It also asked why the 24,000 rupees per day limit order was not compiled with. In other queries, 9 in all, the top court asked whether the note ban decision was taken in absolute secrecy. Other questions pertain to the constitutional validity of the government's decision. Arguing for the centre, Attorney General Mukul Rohtagi told the court that the government had taken all the necessary steps to ease inconvenience of the general public. The court was hearing a batch of petitions challenging Prime Minister Modi's demonetisation move. The court will resume hearing on the 14th December. In a related development, the government told Parliament that a decision has been taken to print plastic currency notes, for which it had initiated procurement of the material.
जो फेक करेंसी है उसको रोकना और जो करेंसी हम जारी करते हैं उसको ट्रैकिंग करना, उसकी नंबरिंग और उसको, तो इसमें जो पेपर करेंसी है उससे प्लास्टिक करेंसी में आसान होता है, इसलिए प्रोसेस हमने ऑन कर रखा है.
The Reserve Bank has been for long planning to launch plastic currency notes after field trials. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the demonetisation issue resonated in Rajya Sabha on Friday. TMC MP Sukhendra Shekhar Roy claimed that 111 people have died due to the government's decision to scrap the high-value currency notes. Roy demanded that an obituary reference be made in the House condoling the loss of these lives.
I would also request the Chair to another issue to take the sense of the House whether obituary reference should be made for the 111 people killed in the queue before the ATMs and banks.
An opposition uproar disrupted proceedings in Lok Sabha on Friday as well. While the Congress demanded that a discussion be held, NDA MPs demanded an apology from the opposition over the president's dressing down on Thursday. With both the sides unrelenting, the House was adjourned till Wednesday.
Lok Sabha was disrupted on Friday due to opposition uproar on demonetization. Citing the president's remarks on parliamentarians not letting the House function, the government demanded that the opposition render an apology for the disruptions. Question hour was washed out due to the verbal duel between the opposition and treasury benches.
अपोजिशन कह रहे हैं हम अभी तैयार है। 16 दिन उन्होंने व्यर्थ किया सदन का। आज महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी को भी कहना पड़ा ये तरीका नहीं है। जब मेजॉरिटी सदन में भाग लेना चाहती है, ये सारे लोग कांग्रेस, कम्युनिस्ट, तृणमूल वो डिस्ट्रप्शन कर रहे हैं। इनको देश के जनता से माफी मांगना चाहिए।
The disruption forced repeated adjournments of the House.
House stands adjourned to meet again at 12 o'clock.
Before the House was adjourned for the day, Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge said that they were ready for a discussion.
We are requesting for discussion. We are ready for discussion on this demonetization issue and its repercussions. उससे जो लोगों को तकलीफ हो रही है, लोग जो परेशान हैं, उसके बारे में हम चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं। अभी होना, इसी वक्त होना।
The president had said on Thursday that parliament is not a place for agitations and disruptions. With inputs from Pranav Goswami and Ravindra Shioran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi has accused the government of not allowing him to speak in Parliament on the note ban issue. He warned of an earthquake, quote-unquote, there if he got a chance to speak on it. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also made a scathing attack on the government, stating that the note ban decision will cause grievous injury to honest people who earn in cash.
Continuing his tirade against the government, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi dubbed the demonetization scheme as the biggest scam in the history of India. Speaking to media persons outside Parliament on Friday, Rahul said he was deliberately being prevented from speaking inside the House as he had a lot to reveal on the purpose behind scrapping old notes.
मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, हिंदुस्तान का हिस्ट्री का सबसे बड़ा स्कैम है। पूरा का पूरा मैं अंदर बोलूंगा। मोदी जी बैठ नहीं पाएंगे। If they allow me to speak in Parliament, you will see what an earthquake is going to come.
Rahul even claimed that the fact that the Prime Minister was not willing to sit inside Parliament showed his nervousness and unpreparedness.
पहले काले धन की बात की, वहां से काउंटरफिट की ओर बहुत दौड़े। काउंटरफिट के बाद कैशलेस में गए। आइए अंदर आइए, बात करिए हमारे साथ। हम करेंगे बात, आप करेंगे बात। देश को पूरा पता चल जाएगा डिमोनेटाइजेशन क्या है, किसको इससे फायदा मिला, किसकी मदद हो रही है, किसका नुकसान हो रहा है और ये क्यों किया गया है।
Adding weight to the opposition attack, in an article in an English daily, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh warned of a ripple effect on GDP and job creation due to demonetization. Calling it a mammoth tragedy, Manmohan Singh said that by declaring more than 85% of the value of money worthless overnight, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shattered the faith that millions of Indians had reposed in the government of India to protect their money. The government hit back, saying a government that had presided over scams had no right to point fingers at others.
The 10 years of Manmohan Singh government saw only scam from 2G to Colgate to Adarsh to Antriksh to helicopter scam, countless scams. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, under the pressure of the scams of your own government, you don't make accusing finger against Narendra Modi government. Come on, have a debate. Now even Honorable the President has appealed to all the political parties, appealed to the opposition more. And I would appeal to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, please see your family heritage and come for a debate.
BJP leaders also accused the opposition of holding the parliament to ransom. 3 weeks into the winter session, and neither house has seen any significant legislative work due to protests against demonetization. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And a month after the note ban, Rajya Sabha TV's team is travelling across the country to get you the ground reality. And in the first report of this series, we are investigating the government's claims of a cashless economy. Take a look.
Rajya Sabha Television's team left Ranchi in the afternoon, heading towards Rourkela. On the way, we tried refueling at several petrol pumps using our debit cards. But at every pump, we were denied fuel because they had no swipe machines.
लगने वाले हैं यहाँ तो बैंक को भी हम लोग बोले थे लेकिन बैंक वाला उस तरह का हम लोग को यहाँ तक अभी तक यहाँ सुविधा नहीं दी है।
अच्छा।
इसके चलते पब्लिक को भी काफ़ी परेशानी हो रहा है। देखिए आगे तो बोल रहा है कि लगेगा करके सेल सबसे यहाँ तो विशेष यहाँ नेटवर्क का भी प्रॉब्लम है ना, और यही सब प्रॉब्लम है।
After travelling about 150 kilometers, we found a petrol pump run by a private company that was accepting debit cards. But here too, the owner said sales have been hit.
बंद हुए हैं और अब पेट्रोल पंप पे भी चलना बंद हो गए हैं जी, तो उसके बाद सेल पे कितना असर पड़ा है?
इसका असर तो पड़ा है, पर यहाँ के लोग जो लोकेलिटी है वो काफ़ी कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं हमें।
पहले जैसे ये बता रहे थे कि पहले आप दिन का 5000 लीटर तक तेल बेचते थे
जी,
अभी कितना बच रहा है?
अभी सर उसका तो असर काफ़ी पड़ा है ट्रांसपोर्ट पे, जिसके कारण 1000-2000 के आसपास सेल हमारा आ गया है।
पहले कितना होता था?
पहले एक दिन में 5 केल 5.5 केल तक हमारा सेल जाता था।
तो आप ये कह रहे हैं कि बिक्री आधी हो गई है?
बिक्री हाँ जी, उसका सेल में असर हुआ है।
Creating a cashless economy in rural India is a challenging task, not only due to less banking penetration in these areas, but also because of poor telecommunication.
To promote cashless economy in the country, government has announced many concessions and measures. But if you talk about rural India, facilities like petrol pumps are not able to provide swipe machines to accept credit card or debit card from their customers. Not only their customers are suffering, but these petrol pumps are also suffering huge losses. Their sales have gone down heavily in last 1 month. With cameraman Saroj Das, this is Shyam Sundar, Rajya Sabha TV, Simdega, Jharkhand.
Look out for more such reports in the days ahead. Meanwhile, in more national news, in the first arrests in the VVIP chopper scam, the CBI has arrested former Air Force Chief SP Tyagi along with 2 others for allegations of taking bribe. They will be produced in a court in Delhi today. The arrests came after questioning at the CBI headquarters.
The CBI arresting former Air Force Chief SP Tyagi, his cousin Sanjeev and Chandigarh-based lawyer Gautam Khaitan in the 450 crore rupee bribery case in the procurement of 12 VVIP helicopters for UK-based AgustaWestland during UPA 2 government.
CBI has today arrested the then Chief of Air Staff, his cousin who is a private person, and an advocate in an ongoing investigation of a case related to alleged irregularities in the procurement of VVIP helicopters.
These are the first arrests in the case by the CBI, which came 3 years after it registered an FIR in 2013. The case was to probe the allegations in the aftermath of the details of the scam emerging in Italy, where the prosecutors levelled allegations of corruption in the deal against the chief of Finmeccanica, the parent company of AgustaWestland. The CBI says that the allegation against the former Air Force Chief is that of entering into criminal conspiracy with other accused people and in 2005 conceding to change IAF's consistent stand that the service ceiling of 6,000 meters was an inescapable operational necessity and it was reduced to 4,500 meters.
The law is taking its own course. The law, which was being somewhere held by political masters, is being allowed to function the way it should function. It's the same CBI which was called a cage parrot during the Congress regime by the Supreme Court. Now the parrot is out of the cage, and therefore we are seeing investigation moving in the right direction. We are seeing the arrests happening. Convictions will start.
So far, SP Tyagi has strongly denied taking any bribes to influence the deal. He has said that the change of specifications was a collective decision in which senior officers of the Indian Air Force, SPG and other departments were involved. The CBI had claimed that lawyer Gautam Khaitan accepted having taken money from European middlemen Guido Hashke and Carlo Garosa, but insisted it was not kickbacks to influence the deal. In January 2014, India scrapped the contract with Finmeccanica's British subsidiary AgustaWestland for supplying the VVIP choppers to the Indian Air Force over alleged breach of contractual obligations and charges of payment of kickbacks. The CBI had sent judicial requests to 8 countries, including Italy, the UK, British Virgin Islands, Tunisia, Switzerland, Singapore, the UAE and Mauritius to get details of money trails of the kickbacks which landed on Indian shores. On April 7, an Italian court had convicted 2 top executives of Defence Major Finmeccanica for paying kickbacks in the deal. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we'll keep an eye out on developments on that front through the day today. Meanwhile, here's a look at what else will be making news in the day ahead. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar will leave on a 3-day visit to Mauritius, during which he will commission a fast patrol vessel for a Coast Guard and hand over 2 upgraded Cheetah helicopters to the Mauritius police. Parrikar will also meet Prime Minister of Mauritius, Anirudh Jagannath, who holds the defence portfolio. Prime Minister Modi will address a farmer rally in Disa town in Banaskant district of North Gujarat and will also inaugurate a milk cooperative dairy plant and other public projects. After the inauguration, the Prime Minister will visit the state BJP headquarters at Koba in Gandhinagar, where he will interact with local party leaders. Moscow will host a meeting today of OPEC and non-OPEC countries to discuss the oil production cut. Earlier this month, OPEC agreed to cut oil output to 32.5 million barrels per day for the first time in 8 years. OPEC countries will reduce the average daily oil production by 1.164 million barrels. The non-OPEC countries are expected to cut oil production too by 600,000 barrels daily from 2017, including 300,000 barrels per day from Russia. A quick break, and up next, more international news. Stay with us.
We are gathered here today at Jawaharlal Nehru University to do a mid-term review of Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy.
Mr. Modi has not brought in a new foreign policy.
You've got to give him good marks for completing, because a lot of things in the previous government were stuck because of the internal dissensions within the ruling coalition.
I doubt as to whether this government at all has a foreign policy in the first place.
America will never be 100% on our side. There always will be negatives in our relationship. The thing is whether the positives should be more than the negatives or the reverse. I think under Modi, the positives are more than the negatives.
Watch experts dissect Modi government's foreign policy in India's World on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you some more international news. Then over 40 people were killed on Friday after 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up at a busy marketplace in Nigeria's Madagali town. This was the 3rd attack on the town since December last year, which was recaptured by Nigerian forces from Boko Haram jihadists in 2015.
2 schoolgirl suicide bombers killed at least 45 people in an attack on a crowded market in the Nigerian town of Madagali on Friday. Over 30 people are reported to be injured in the attack. While no group has claimed responsibility for the attack, officials blame terrorist group Boko Haram, which regularly uses women and young girls to carry out suicide attacks. Madagali is the northernmost town in Nigeria's Adamawa state, which is close to Boko Haram's remaining stronghold in the Sambisa forest. Madagali suffered a similar attack last December in which 30 people were killed. Boko Haram has targeted crowded areas such as markets and refugee camps in suicide bomb attacks across northeast Nigeria. The 7-year uprising has killed more than 20,000 people and left over 2.5 million people homeless, triggering a massive humanitarian crisis. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, offensive between Syrian forces and rebels continued in eastern Aleppo as fresh raids were launched to capture the last rebel-held districts of the city. However, government strikes were halted briefly after Russia announced a temporary truce to allow the evacuation of civilians. Russian defense military officials have confirmed that the government has a control of 93% of the city now. Over 10,000 residents have evacuated from the militant-controlled part of Aleppo in the last 24 hours, including more than 4,000 children. However, the UN General Assembly has demanded an immediate ceasefire and urgent aid deliveries in a resolution adopted by a strong majority. US officials will meet with their Russian counterparts in Geneva on Sunday to discuss the crisis in Aleppo.
Центром примирения только в город Алеппо за последние дни доставлено более 270 тонн гуманитарной помощи, продовольствия, медикаментов, предметов первой необходимости. Развернуто 155 кухонь, обеспечивающих горячим питанием.
US President Barack Obama has ordered the intelligence agencies to conduct a full review of attempts by foreign hackers to influence the US elections and he wants a report before he leaves office on the 20th of January. The review will look back at the past 3 presidential elections and will also look for evidence of hacking beyond the already disclosed hacks of Democratic campaign emails that intelligence officials have attributed to Russia. The review was sparked in part to respond to the Democratic lawmakers demanding a response to Russia's actions, as well as to determine how much intelligence material on the subject could be declassified and made public. In October, the US government formally accused Russia of a campaign of cyber attacks against the Democratic Party organizations ahead of the November 8th presidential election.
The President earlier this week instructed the intelligence community to conduct a full review of the pattern of malicious cyber activity related to our presidential election cycle. So he's requested this report be completed and submitted to him before the end of his term. Unfortunately, this activity is not new to Moscow. We've seen them do this for years, but the president has made clear to President Putin that this is unacceptable.
Japan on Friday launched a cargo ship which will use a half-mile-long tether to remove some of the vast amounts of debris from Earth's orbit. The tether, or a magnetic chain made of aluminium strands and steel wire, is designed to slow the debris, pulling it out of orbit. The innovative device was made with the help of a fishing net company. Here are more details.
Japan has launched a cargo ship which will use a half-mile-long tether to move some of the vast amount of debris from Earth's orbit. The tether, made of aluminium strands and steel wire, is designed to slow the debris, pulling it out of orbit. The automated cargo ship, called Stork or Konotori in Japanese, which is carrying the junk collector, is bound for the International Space Station and blasted off from Tanegashima Space Center in the North Pacific. The innovative device was made with the help of a fishing net company. There is estimated to be more than 100 million pieces of space junk in orbit, including discarded equipment from old satellites, tools and bits of rocket. Many of these objects are moving at high velocity around the Earth at speeds of up to 28,000 kilometers per hour and could cause catastrophic accidents and damage to the world's orbital telecommunications network. The junk collector is the latest in a series of ideas put forward to tackle the problem, including harpooning, sweeping, lassoing and dragging debris into the atmosphere for burning. The junk has accumulated in more than 50 years of human space exploration since the Soviet launched Sputnik satellite in 1957. Collisions between satellites and the testing of anti-satellite weapons have made the problem worse. The experiment is part of an international initiative designed to make space safer for astronauts by getting rid of space junk. It is hoped that it will also provide better protection for space stations and weather and communication satellites worth billions of dollars. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
How exciting is that? And now on to some more exciting news, and definitely for cricket fans. India will resume their first innings at the overnight score of 146 for 1 on day 3 of the 4th test match in Mumbai today. The hosts trail England by 254 runs. On day 2, Murli Vijay and Cheteshwar Pujara led India's response with an unbeaten 107-run partnership for the second wicket after opener KL Rahul was bowled by Moeen Ali for 24 runs. Earlier, resuming at their overnight 288 for 5, the visitors were all out for 400. Later sold by Josh Butler helped England put up a big total. Butler was involved in a 54-run 9th wicket stand with Jake Ball that frustrated Indian bowlers. Off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin bagged 6 wickets, which was his 23rd 5-wicket haul in the 43rd game. Left-arm spinner Ravindra Jadeja accounted for the other 4 wickets. India is in fact leading the 5-match series 2-0.
Put away to that sweeper.
And here are more updates from the world of sports in SportsBeat. The Supreme Court on Friday adjourned the hearing of the issue of BCCI's stand on Lodha panel recommendations to the 14th of December. The hearing was adjourned in view of the many pending cases before the court. In its last hearing on the 21st of October this year, the Supreme Court had asked the Lodha Committee to appoint an independent auditor to scrutinize the grants of contracts by the BCCI. Commonwealth Games champion P. Kashyap has advanced to the semi-finals of the Korea Open Grand Prix Gold Badminton Tournament. On Friday, Kashyap overcame the host nation's Jeonhyuk Jin in a 3-game thriller. Kashyap defeated 6-seeded Jain 18-21, 21-8, 21-16 in a nearly 1-hour men's singles contest. Kashyap will now face Korean top seed Sonan Ho in the semi-finals. Henrik Mkhitaryan scored his first Manchester United goal on Friday to set up a 2-0 win over Zorya Luhansk as Jose Mourinho's side reached the last 32 of the Europa League. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored the second goal as the Premier League club went to second place behind Fenerbahce, who won 1-0. That's all we have for you on the Breakfast News. Thanks for joining us and have a good day.